panel. Melascape Season 3 is being hosted jointly by PIBM Center for Agriculture and Rural Excellence and Powerhouse Incubation Cell. This time, we are addressing precision farming techniques, branding strategies, policy intervention, and green financing schemes. It is eminent that today will be a day of celebration and enlightenment as we bask into the glory of agribusiness industry.
Pune Institute of Business Management is a leading institute that nurtures young and dignified managers and entrepreneurs. It gives me great pleasure to acknowledge the dynamic leadership of Sri Ramanpreet Sir and the humongous efforts of the managing committee members in front of so many success stories created by PIBM and its founding members. With a razor-sharp vision, fearless imagination, and smart hard work, this is the right time to have a glance at the milestones achieved by PIBM. So, ladies and gentlemen, have a look at this magnificent Journeys Institute. Thank you. Request the video to be played.
is indeed a pride to be a part of this esteemed institute. We would now like to call upon an esteemed member of PIBM who carries more than 10 years of experience in industry and academics. Sir specializes in teaching various subjects like marketing analytics, e-commerce, digital marketing, and many more. Apart from teaching, Sir has also been working with various accreditation committees as a co-lead member for NAC and NBA. I would like to request Naresh Sir, Assistant Director PIBM, to take the dais for the welcome note.
Hi guys, very good afternoon. I hope you guys had your lunch. Yes, still this is the energy. Okay, I want to say good afternoon installments then. Okay, good to go. First of all, it was a great honor for me, and I take a privilege to deliver a welcome note speech on behalf of PIBM family. There were stalwarts who have gathered over here from agri-tech industry, and again it's a privilege for me to welcome on behalf of you guys. So thanks for joining us today to share your valuable thoughts. And before taking my discussion forward, I'd like to ask my students once again, even though we do deliver agri-tech as a small subject or maybe a course curriculum, as a part of value-added course to my student, I still want to ask you guys a question, guys, before moving forward for the session. How many of you guys like to join or looking for a job in agri-tech industry, by the way? I think you are in the right place at the right time. That's what I feel so. And I like to share a few points which makes you guys more interesting and makes you guys more curious, because I firmly believe in curiosity is the one thing can makes you guys learn better, right? So I take this opportunity to share a few points. Obviously, the industry stalwart speaks more, as it's a present technology, they speak more precise. So spare me, ma'am and sir, if I speak something wrong or maybe give some stats wrong. India has been estimated to have approximately $330 billion market size into agri-related, industry. And agri-tech industry or maybe agriculture industry, still 40% of the employability happening from agricultural industry, and approximately as per 2021 GDP database, 19.1% of India's GDP is contributed by agri and agri-aligned services. You know what, guys, we are running in this fast world so fast, right? In looking at various things changing around us, right? But none of us, try to match up what is the need. We are hitting approximately 7.9 billion world's population, and is estimated to be 9.8 billion in 2050. Huge shortage going on, resource shortages, and we need to integrate our traditional agriculture with the help of technology, and our aim and our focus should be towards that direction, because to supply the need and demand, I'm not talking something new, it is a basic concepts, need and demand, right? Moving towards that particular direction, there are a lot of new interventions we brought in. There are huge, because agriculture is an open space, especially in India. We are in a very early stage of agri and agri-tech. We have opportunity in every means. For example, when you go for plantation, you can use various techniques, right? And various authors are coming up in talking about how to even plant. When I'm talking about after plantation, there are a lot of nanotechnologies has been used, and there are FAAS. That is farming as a service. Like you guys might hear about SaaS, software as a service. Likewise, FAAS concepts are emerging in the market, right? Because in India, if you talk about average land holding size is just about 2.5 acres per person. But if you go to United States, the whole minimum average holding is 400 acres, right? So in India, we have into small. So you have to combine into groups, so FAAS, right? Which I'm talking about farming as a service, giving rental equipments. Likewise, new business model is emerging. Lot of e-commerce platforms emerging to make a middleman, okay? I just can avoid middleman between creating and selling it to an end user, right? And there are various startup comes in helping out in logistics and supply chain, right? There are various artificial intelligence have been created to understand what kind of decision forecasting, for example, whether let it be what kind of soil I'm using, what kind of pesticides I should go for, what is my expected yield, right? Likewise, anything and everything can be calculated with the help of technology, and we can do something better, right? So once again, I'll request all my students, right? There was a huge opportunities waiting outside, right, from this field, and what best PIBM can do for you guys is something very simple. We can gather all the eminent panel members who are experienced, because for me it's just the subject, for me it's just the interest, but people who are sitting over here, they are working day in and day out in this industry. They are carrying their experience, they are carrying the relevant education, they can be the one who can precisely guide you towards what you guys want to become. So utilize this opportunity, right, make something big, and you guys can do it. I firmly believe in it. And I'll take an opportunity to thank my esteemed faculty members like IRC cell head like Ridhiman Mukhopadhyay sir is there, Incubation Center, Powerhouse, Entrepreneurship Incubation Center, JP Verma sir is there, and I'll thank all my placement department, to arrange such a happening sectors meet and bringing such a eminent personalities within a short span. That's a great work, and I'm more happy, and I'll appreciate obviously our honorable chairman who have a razor sharp vision towards what we are heading towards, and with this guidance we are progressing towards our objective, and we need all the student support. So I'm looking for an active participation from this group, right? And guys, try to understand, each one of us have an opportunity in life. So when I get 12 hours time in my life, I have a lot of things to do with my family, so on and so forth. So each of our industry panelists who are gathered over here, they have their own commitment. They are heading the industry, right? There are a lot of responsibilities on their shoulder, apart from personal. But they are gathered over here with only one aim and agenda in mind, is what? I should add value to the young generation, upcoming generation, and they will take things forward. On behalf of you, I give this commitment to all the panelists over here. Our students will be focused and they'll gather all the best knowledge out of this today's panel discussion, and they take things forward. That's a commitment I'm giving to the esteemed panels who are gathered over here on behalf of my students, right? And once again, I'm welcoming all the eminent panel members who are gathered over here. Thanks again, sirs, for joining us in this big event, and we are looking forward for a lot more, right? And once again, thanks for my team to given an opportunity to deliver welcome notes, right? And guys, I would like to conclude my welcome note with the word, with the mantra of PIBM. Arise, awake, stop not, until the goal is reached. Thanks for having me here today. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Naresh sir. No person was ever honored for what he received. Honor has been the reward for what he gave. It's a privilege to honor such dignitaries present with us. With this note, let's start the felicitation ceremony for our esteemed guests.
Our first eminent guest of honor holds over 15 years of experience across 4 continents. Her journey spans through diverse roles, from software development to strategic initiatives, and most recently, ma'am led 2 ventures focused on transforming the marine space. Furthermore, ma'am's leadership and expertise have been recognized globally. She was included in the Forbes Women Power 2022 list. Currently, ma'am is the COO and founder at Climax, which is a startup aiming to scale sustainable seaweed production through technology and social science. With a huge round of applause, please welcome Devalina Bhattacharjee ma'am. I would now request Priya ma'am, Assistant Director, PIBM, to facilitate Devalina Bhattacharjee ma'am. Thank you, Priya ma'am. Devalina ma'am, please take the stage.
Our next guest of honor is an alumnus of Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, and Indian Institute of Forest Management, to name a few. Sir possesses over 20 years of expertise in financial services, including trading, credit policy, product development, risk and fraud management, debit and receivable management, relationship management, cross-selling, and marketing for rural and agriculture banks and SMEs. With a great understanding of agriculture value chains and rural markets, he holds experiences in designing and managing new business activities, procedures, process, and controls. His expertise lies in key development areas like decentralization, resource management, education, and sustainability. Currently, Sir is serving as a country head at Basics Farmers Market, India. With a huge round of applause, please welcome Mr. Alok Pradhan sir. I now request Rajlakshmi ma'am to felicitate Alok Pradhan sir. Thank you, ma'am.
With over a decade of experience, our next revered guest is expert in the domains such as food safety, quality, and microbiology. Ma'am is a qualified microbiologist with nearly 18 years of qualitative experience in heading and implementing food safety systems operations in the field of quality assurance and food processing. She has also authored 6 books on food safety and has also audited various food processing units on behalf of United Nations Industrial Development Organization in Nepal, Bangladesh, Bhutan and Maldives. Ma'am is currently leading the post at the Director at Food Chain ID. With a huge round of applause, please welcome Asha Sridhar ma'am. I now request Priya ma'am, Director PIBM, to facilitate Asha Sridhar ma'am. Thank you, Priya ma'am. Thank you, Asha ma'am.
Our next esteemed guest has over 30 years of experience and possesses knowledge in FMCG, food safety management, analytic laboratory management, process improvement, and quality systems. Ma'am has demonstrated exceptional capabilities in designing and establishing quality and safety systems, audit processes, and has been associated with food safety and quality system trainings that have altered to cater operational demands. Ma'am had incepted her career as a research analyst at the National Institute of Virology and has also been associated with reputed companies such as Coca-Cola India as a director. Currently, Ma'am is the co-founder of her own venture, the Fad Labrador Food LLP. With a huge round of applause, please welcome Ms. Smita Murthy ma'am. I now request Rajlakshmi ma'am to felicitate Ms. Smita ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Our next prominent guest is an ecopreneur, a food innovator with a heart for the planet, and has spent his career blending environmental expertise with modern manufacturing technologies. Sir is a master of sustainable practices from renewable energy to food waste reduction, and also possesses expertise in sustainable agriculture from breakfast cereals to snacks. His dedication to impact social life shines through his roles at Enclado Ventures, where he nurtures sustainable startups. Sir is also the currently founder at Melascape Foods. With a huge round of applause, please welcome Shantanu Patil sir. I would now like to call Vadhuman sir to participate, sir. Thank you, sir.
We would now request Ms. Smita Murthy ma'am to join us as the moderator for the panel discussion. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, and it's just wonderful to be in a place with so many young people, young students, so that's lovely. Thank you for having us, PIBM. And I think Sir's given a fabulous overview and makes our job easy. And plus, I have a beautiful, really talented panel with me, so I guess it's going to be easy to moderate this one. We will give enough time for you to ask questions because that is what we are here for. And I hope at the end of this, it provides you an inspiration to go out and find your own path. So let's get started. I think we have a time limit, so I'm going to ask all of you to be like giving your elevator pitches, okay? So that is how we'll start. So before I think they've given a fabulous introduction of all of you. So Devlina, can I start with you, elevator pitch? What exactly does your company do? And I think then all of you can just in a line or two talk about what you do.
Okay. Honored to be here, but just to keep it short, Clamapro as a company, we are trying to innovate seaweed cultivation in India. We have been working with the coastal community for a while now, and one of the reasons we are doing this is the need for not only deriving the value-add benefits that come from seaweed into multiple different industry applications like food, pharma, fertilizer, but also seaweed provides a essential additional income for the fishing community that they are struggling to find in this day and age of climate change. So multiple things that we do is we use satellite data for analyzing the right spots to grow seaweed, work with the communities for growing, and then extract the value adds. And it's a complete digital platform, and multiple different kind of industry applications comes out of it. So that's more or less the thing of just to boost the seaweed products and business in India. Thank you.
Thank you. Shantanu, can you?
Hello, my name is Shantanu. I'm the director of the Milk Foods. We are based out of 200 kilometers from the Pune in a village called Gatachiwadi. So what we do actually, like we started processing the millets since 2018-19. At that time, nobody knows what millets are or how do we process. So we have a facility around 7,000 to 8,000 square feet where we, with the capacity to manufacture breakfast cereals, snacks, cookies, bakery, premixes. It is around 1 to 2 tons per day. But when we started Incepted, it was a lot of challenges, like right from procurement of the machineries to setting up the plant. So currently we have a brand called Also Get, where through this brand we are catering to the millet-based products. Yeah, that's from my side.
Thank you. Alok?
Hi, Alok here. I lead something known as Basics Farmers Market. Now, a little bit about Basics before we come to Basics Farmers Market. So Basics was primarily a microfinance company established 25-26 years back, and post the AP crisis, that particular business is something that is not working anymore. And now Basics as an ecosystem works primarily in the agribusiness domain. So there are an ecosystem of around 6 companies working on various issues. One of them is, so we work on basically farmer producer consulting. We also work on solid waste management. A few, you can say, we are there in Kothur, Pune also. One of the waste management companies also runs from this place. Then we have a grant-based company called as Indian Gramin Services. We have an agri trading company called as Basics Krishi Samriddhi Limited. So there are an ecosystem of 6 companies working on different facets of agribusiness. The Basics Farmers Market is basically a digital platform. So from morning we have been hearing about different products and different services targeted on various facets of agribusiness. We are more like a digital marketplace for all these services. So right now on the platform, there are about 750 plus farmer collectives or farmer producer organizations, and we are presently there in 5 states. The pilot for this marketplace started in Vidarbha, and then it's expanded to entire Maharashtra. Then we are also there in Uttar Pradesh, we are there in MP, we are there in Himachal Pradesh, and we are also there in Assam. So primarily 5 states, 750 FPOs and around 5 lakh farmers on the platform. And there are 3 distinct services that we provide. There is a input side service that we provide where we give say seeds, pesticides, fertilizers, insecticides, etc. on the input side. Then there is the output side, where after the harvest of crop, when farmer collectives are looking for markets, so we try
Hello,
to.
the elevator pitch is over.
Yeah, sorry.
So,
Just 1 minute. You can do the penalty for me. No problem. Okay. So on the output side, it's primarily linking up with institutional players or local players, and on the credit side, we link up with banks or NBFCs, say like a Ninja Card or a Samunati, to provide credit services to the FPOs and as well as the farmers. So this is what Basics Farmers Bank is all about. Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, hello. We are primarily service providers, and we do a complete linkages right from farm to fork. So we provide services on the regulatory services, not only the Indian but globally, any kind of regulatory services, name is the USDA or the EU. We also provide training services. We are approved by FSSAI, and we provide certifications right from farm to fork. All the GFSI approved standards like organic certification, Global Gap, BRCGS, FSSC, etc. And therefore, we also have about I would say, since he was Alok is from the farm FPO, so we have more than 25,000 farmers as our customers who utilize many of our services. Of course, all these services are not mandatory; all of them are optional.
Okay. So I think that gives you a view of the different kind of work all of them are doing. So Devlina, first question for you. You're a data scientist. That's how you started your journey, right? From there to seaweed, which is so different. I mean, none of us, I think, have ever eaten a product with seaweed, or at least we don't know. So how did this happen from data science to seaweed? And why?
Okay, I'll keep it short. It's a long story. Essentially, I think I was working in the corporates. I was working in corporate till 2015, 2016, and dabbled around in a lot of different data applications, starting from satellite communication data to telecom data, so on and so forth. Somewhere over a period of 9 years, and then realize being in a corporate, you only get to learn only that much of technology. So wanted to try my hands, understand the new age. So that's how my entrepreneurship started. First thing I want you to do is something that I can see the impact in front, because typically in a corporate area you're working something behind the desktop, you really don't need to get to meet the customer. Long story short, our first application was using satellite data into working with coastal communities. History behind that is that whenever we talk about agri-tech, the first thing that comes to anyone's mind, the more that gets discussed, is land-based agriculture. But we realize there's a big problem about the coastal communities where the food from the sea is not being really given the address, and the coastal communities are suffering way more in the climate space. But so application of data is very much there in my day-to-day business, because the first thing that we start is analyze satellite data to understand where to grow seaweed. And why seaweeds came into space is from 2018 to 2020, I was working with the marine fisheries, and something that came out of that learning is the community was looking for additional source of income apart from just doing fisheries on a day-on-day basis. Multiple different factors kind of reducing their number of days they can go for fish. So seaweed was a very immediate available job. So that's where the seaweed came, and then multiple other benefits helps that kind of choose seaweed as a subject matter.
Okay, that's very interesting. Coming to you, Alok, I have a question for you. Finance background, and you've kind of used all of that now with your digital marketplace that you've created. So again, from finance to wanting to do something like this, how does it work? And for students here, how do you, tell them that this works? How do they do it?
Yeah. See, before working with Basics Farmers Market, I was predominantly in the financial services space. So typically from campus, I got selected to HDFC Bank. Then I spent a few years with ICICI and Axis Bank as well. And I've also been with a few warehousing companies, which is again agri ancillary kind of services. And even in basics farmers market, the one thing that you get to understand when you go into the field, no matter how much amount of credit, farm credit we talk about, credit and finance is one thing that the farmer or the farming community actually requires today. Even today, for each and every, you can say for example, for inputs, a farmer requires credit. For in the output side also they require credit. So finance is one, you can say, one key component of the entire agri ecosystem. If you don't have the finance part in place, then it becomes very difficult to drive any model. Even in our case, we started with output and now we are also into input. But credit is something which we are piloting now. But we feel that if the credit piece would have come first, then the things would have been much more scalable. It's a scalable component for agri tech.
Okay. And Asha, coming to you. You are totally different from everybody else on the panels. They are working directly with either marine or farmers. But you look at the certification business, so what does it do, and what would you tell the young people here?
I think today, wherever you want to sell, the first thing is how can people rely on what you sell, and that is where we come as third-party verifiers to put a stamp that what you do, what you say is what you do, and we come and we verify that. And for you to sell anything into the not only local and the global market, you will need a host of certifications, and that's where we come in, right? As I said, right from farm to fork, we give all kind of regulatory advisory services as well as the certifications.
Okay, so organic and things would be something that you do.
Yeah, see, for the farming level, agricultural level, in fact, we are one of the number one for organic certification globally. We also give global gap at the farm level.
So basically all the stamps that you see, organic and things written on your retail packages, I think that's the kind of work Asha does. So Shantanu, coming to you, you became an entrepreneur with millets. Okay, and you're in this far-off place, Barshi, away from a big city. So how did this journey happen, and can you tell us a little bit more about why millets and how did you get into it?
So everybody here knows a shop. My grandfather, my traditional business was selling the grains, trading the grains. So if you see, there is nothing into no value addition into grains. Whether it's a breakfast course material. So millets, I'm assuming everybody knows the millets. Major millets, minor millets, jawar, bajra, ragi, bhagar, foxtail, these are the millets. But there hasn't been any, you can say, value addition or anything, because it's been taken up to roti. Nothing we haven't taken anything from roti to any other value added products. So when we started in 2018-19, main purpose was to first grade and clean the grains. But we realized that even though grading and cleaning, people doesn't know how to cook it or what we can make out of it. So that's what when we realized we need to pivot it to make a products. What if you see any current market, any products, if you get up in the morning, 97% of the products are made by three ingredients: rice, wheat, and corn. If you take a confectionery, breakfast, or whatever product you take, it's made up from these three products are industrial byproduct: corn starch, anything. So we can replace entire whatever you have, the breakfast, cookies, bread, premixes, breakfast snacks or anything with the millet. So we incepted this thing. We did some R&D. We worked with CFTR and Mysore and couple of other agriculture research center based out of Hyderabad for developing this technology. At that time, these guys had developed some commercially viable technologies for those millets which are able to scale. So we took those technologies, set up a plant. So setting up a plant was again a challenge because if you want to buy a machine to process a grain, a specific grain like any millet, so no other company was ready to fabricate or make those machines. So we had to develop those machines or get it input from the other companies. So that's how we end up getting into processing. From processing now we started. Initially we were white labeling or contract manufacturing for the other brands till like 2021, and in last year we started our own brand.
Okay. So that's been fantastic. And what do you see as the future as a food entrepreneur, both you and Devlina? How do you see the future as entrepreneurs in the food space?
See, into the future, due to last year, a millet year being declared, or you can say there has been a demand in terms of consumer space for the millets. So it will pick up in a coming time. People are replacing the diets, those who are looking for the gluten-free, fiber-rich diets or any options. So there are the options into the shop space for the lot of brands. Because see, in 2019, I was the only brand into shop space, retail space. I had to convince consumers, okay, this is cookies made from the jawar. These are the breakfast here, just like your oats. Now I have the Britannia, I have the Nestle, I have the Maggi. All see, these brands are come up, so it's to make it much more easier, or you can say competition. More the companies are coming, so the customers have more options for the buying those products, or you can say marketing wise, as well as for us to communicate our message. What we have and what these companies don't have. So you can say there is an ample amount of opportunity. As I mentioned, 97% of the products are made with rice, wheat and corn. You can see, so you can take any product and replace with millets.
So you're saying for everybody in this room, looking at millets, looking at developing products would be an exciting new opportunity for all of them. As a food entrepreneur with data background.
Right, so I think we are more or less in the food security space. I don't know how many of you understand the term behind it. But food security is important from the fact that the entire discussion has become all the more important given climate change, and where we focus on is again coastal communities, be it through fishing, be it through seaweed, anything that adds more food at the table and that can be given the income capacity to really sustain themselves. One thing that is coming out very prominently in the entire ecosystem, in the environment that we live in, is a fact for locally developed produce, and that is true for ocean-based and true for land-based. When you talk about climate change, I was just talking to Asha about it, that it impacts differently in different parts of India, different parts of the world. So when you talk about food ecosystems, and we are on the supply side, it's very essential to monitor the climatic conditions, for us the marine conditions, to understand what can be grown best in that area and be able to kind of get the best amount of yield of that crop. So that's where our focus is. And when it comes to applications that you guys build in, multiple different things we use, be it data analytics, be it satellite data analysis, be it any other kind of ground data, IoT data analytics, supply chain monitoring, livelihood, entrepreneurship in livelihood, or any kind of livelihood engagement, community training, a bunch of things to be done on building the rural ecosystem. So yeah, it's a mix of various different talents that gets engaged.
And for somebody who's studying business management, you think it's a open field right there for them to get into?
Absolutely. So there are multiple. So we are across the supply chain, right? So we are on the supply and the demand side. So we have business from the business development field. If you're on the business analytics space, multiple different analysis is being done. Either you say analyze the conditions and climatic conditions and tie that to the supply capacity of a certain area, or you work with us in the supply chain ecosystem to really understand the various handshakes a certain material goes. Various kind of engagement, be at the village, at the rural level, or at the B2B level, because we sell to B2B, we're not a B2C company. Being able to market new products, like for example, we are extracting seaweed value adds that goes into bioplastic industry, brand new field altogether. To be able to understand the demand of the bioplastic, applications of bioplastics, talks to people, and kind of a replacement of normal plastic with the bioplastic, chemical fertilizers with the agri fertilizers. So all of these are multiple different market research and applications that are being shaped and formed.
Okay, Alok, I have a question for you. So technology is evolving, and we keep hearing this, that it's changing so fast. Every day things are changing. So how has technology, and how do you look at it? How does it help? What is the future? What do young people do with the technology changing so fast? How do you take it ahead?
Yeah, I think if you look at agriculture on a standalone basis, technology would help a lot in terms of rationalization of all the processes involved. The second thing is, say for example, in case of basics farmers market, what happens is we get a lot of data. See, the entire process is digitized. Today, if you look at how these supply chains work, both on the input side or the output side, is the processes are not structured, and so data gets lost somewhere. But typically, if you have a digital platform, the entire trail, right from what is the farmer's requirement, what are the kind of products that he requires, what is the quantity of products that he requires, in which season, which kind of products that he would use, all of that gets accumulated, and you can analyze the data, and then you can use the data to kind of provide services to the farmer. Say for example, now I told earlier that there are three specific services: input, output and credit. But when you go to the field, you also realize that insurance could also be a service that could be provided to the farmer. So how do we do it digitally? Now, are there, you can say, fintech companies or insurance tech, if you can use the term, that are there out there who can come on the platform and provide, say for example, parametric insurance, which was discussed in the earlier panel? The answer is yes. There is a company like Finheart Technologies, which is a new startup, which only does insurance of rural consumers. I'm not using the word agri because agri is a very short term. We should be using rural at the end of the day because that's a larger market. So typically, the use of data would eventually help in understanding the key areas to intervene for companies. Say for example, we do partnerships in all the three services that we provide. So that this data will eventually help the services to be provided more efficiently and to be scaled up more efficiently, I would say.
And Asha, being from a field which is different from finance or data now for you, how has this entire space of certification, people looking for certificates, how has that changed over the last, say, 5 years? How has the landscape changed?
I think previously when, about almost 25 years back when HACCP, the word was coined, or people used to call it as hack up, or many of them did not even know the terminology. But today I think in India, thanks to FSSAI, almost everyone is aware what HACCP stands for. And I think in the last...
You should just take a poll. Does everyone here know what HACCP
stands?
How many of you know? So that there goes your answer.
Okay.
You should tell them.
Okay, I think it's got a very interesting history. When man was first sent to moon, there was also a lot of debate on what kind of food to be packed for him, which was not going to cause any food poisoning for him. Today also worldwide 60% of the food poisoning is caused due to microbiological pathogens like Salmonella, Shigella, S. aureus, etc. So how do you prevent? You cannot, bring it back again. So Pillsbury was the company which first coined this word HACCP, hazard analysis and critical control point. And this kind of a hazard analysis and critical, today the hazard analysis is the basis for any kind of work what you do, today I think people look at it not from, per se certification is the last part, but people use it for day-to-day basis for any of the, agri-based industries or agriculture. Even the farmer uses the hazard analysis and critical control point to ensure that, he grows the crops without any risks, etc.
Okay.
Thank you.
You can ask Asha more questions on this at the end of the session if you want. I know we want to open it up for questions, so I'd quickly like to go around. Maybe Asha, start with you now. What are the biggest challenges you face in your business in terms of making this happen?
Yeah, I think the term is the biggest challenge is to make people aware. It's rightly at the farm level, at the farmers level. That is the challenge what we face today also. Maybe at the top level you have people knowing the terminology or understanding it, but today also the major issue is making the people at the level, down the level, understand simple basic things like personal hygiene, why to wash your hands, why not to use the night soil. I think this is why not to overuse the fertilizers. Use more sustainable solutions for growing their agri products, etc.
I think I would just summarize it to 2-3 challenges. The first thing is about technology. The first panel discussed a lot about that, but I will tell you how the entire thing is panning out. So today you have in the field farmers who use traditional methods of cultivation and are not very keen to adopt technology, right? But if you look at 1 or 2 generations after that, say for example there is a person in an adat in a mandi, तो उसका बेटा जो है, he is more digitally adept, he is more aware of digital technologies, he is more willing to adapt to that technology. So probably we are in a transition phase where we feel that probably technology is not is a limitation to scale up in farming, but I guess in another 5 to 6 years this arena will completely change, and digitization will be more prevalent in agriculture. It will be more visible. Today it's more about a lot of different models coming in, digitized models coming into the agri ecosystem, and pilots, so-called pilots being successful. But I think in another 5 years digital will be the thing in case of agriculture. The second thing is in agri, there will always be government intervention. We have to be very, very honest about that. There will be policy level interventions, because at the end of the day, when you read about agriculture, it's always 50% India ka population farming karta hai, right? So you can't think कि government 50% लोगों को छोड़ देगा, because 50% लोग तो vote bank ही हो गए, right? So each and every policy decision that happens will have agri somewhere. So today, even in the interim budget, the PM talked about Krishi Matsya Sampada Yojana, if you know about the fisheries scheme, right? So even in the main budget which will come up, there will be a lot of allocation for agri, there will be a lot of push in agri. And farmer collectives and the farmer producer organization ecosystem is nascent. It's just 5-6 years where the government has actually eventually pushed this collective ecosystem, and there will be a lot of traction in this particular area. So we were talking about fast farming as a service which the faculty talked about. This is going to be a reality in another 4 or 5 years. So for example, and also it will be a lot of you can say holistic services being provided to farmers on the digital platform rather than singular services that are right now provided. So you have an example of AgroStar, which is based out of Pune, right? It used to be only dealing in inputs, but it took over any farms, because any farms is more towards output, right? So you need to have multiple services when you go to the farmers, and digital platforms will eventually you can say they will have some sort of avatar where you will have holistic services going to farming in the next days to come.
Challenges that you think of, Shantanu?
Challenges. So I'll talk about challenges in terms of back-end linkage. Let's suppose I'm procuring the grains. Now harvest season is coming in next 1 or 2 months, right? In the morning session we had this precision farming, precision agriculture, right? Government is spending a lot of funds for this thing. Millet has been declared. Like most of the farmers are still, millets are still a traditional crop. Most of the young farmers or next generation farmers are switching to the fresh fruits and vegetables. While nobody wants to switch to the millets unless and until there is a buyback. Okay. And second thing, let's suppose harvesting time is coming. Yet even in spite of having technological advancement, there are no harvesting machines for the harvesting. So labor cost. So they difficult to get the laborers on the field. So this is a major challenge on the farm level. In terms of processing, as ma'am mentioned, get the millets overseas, get a good shelf life more than 8 months, 10 months, 12 months is a challenge. At current time, we have been able to get it to 6 months, 7 months. But for the export market, we need to at least more than 12 months. So that's been a challenge in terms of improving the shelf life. In terms of the market, as more and more companies and more startups, brands come to the market, people will adopt depending upon how you price the product. Because most of the companies or the millet products you see in the market have been premiumly charged. So people will buy once, but they will not buy the repeat. So the reason being, at the current stage, the price of the raw material of the millets are also at a peak, very high, because there is being a sudden demand for the most of the millets. So the prices are at a higher. Let's suppose jawar is priced at 70 rupees, foxtail 80 to 90. Some millets are above 150 rupees. How you get this raw material at a more than 100 rupees, process and get into value-added products. So these prices will be stable in next 1 or 2 years, depending upon how the market is or how the millet market goes.
Challenges that you think from your industry perspective?
Yeah, I think, entrepreneurship is fraught with challenges, but just to, I think I'll be echoing the thoughts that the human connect is always a challenge. I'm not from the fisheries background, I'm not from the fishing community at all, so human biases, beliefs and cultural barriers when you're trying to, land a technology solution. He mentioned platform, we are a platform company, but at the end of the day, adoption by your users is the biggest success, and you cannot survive without that. So for very essential that we really learn in the early days is that to be able to have that customer-centric design, human-centric design, know your customer well, to be able to understand and adopt and kind of, even if you're making the fanciest technological app, until and unless your users are able to use it intuitively and not second guess it, is something very important. For us, I think the last mile linkages and being able to deliver something that can be easily adopted and used and continuously used with the community where they're reaping benefits is something that goes into our design and the biggest challenge anywhere I go.
And for all of you, because we are such a diverse country with so many languages, does language itself bring a challenge with your platform?
Yeah. So I can talk about myself. So we work with extreme rural communities. Wherever we go, we have community representation. We have to find one cheerleader of a fishing community, and also all our apps, all the interventions are in multiple different languages. Not only that, there are different levels of biases. I mean, every 50 kilometers you move, there's different kind of beliefs and set of beliefs. So you have to really be adaptive to those, human behavior at play.
Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think getting the right set of people at the field is also a big challenge in the agribusiness sector. Because, say for example, now, like I said, we are working in 5 states. So, for example, if you look at Assam, getting a good resource, not at Guwahati, but somewhere, say something like Borpeta or districts like that. If you don't know, Assam, Borpeta is like quite far away from Guwahati. You don't get good people. So getting good people in the agribusiness sector is one big challenge. Say for example, we started our pilot in Vidarbha. So you don't, I would not say good, but the kind of skill sets that you require to drive a digital platform per se. So for example, I wouldn't get a resource like that in Buldhana or maybe Chikli, which is another tehsil of Buldhana, etc. So getting good people remains a challenge.
So I guess for all the students here, the challenges all can be translated as opportunities for all of you going ahead as you pass out of this institute. Okay, so I guess I want to give time to the students. So one last question, advice to the students from all of you, one piece of advice. Again, an elevator pitch, so please keep it short.
Government is coming out with very good policies for people in the agriculture, and that is a field which is going to keep growing. And a lot of subsidies given for various different players, whether it's in the agri sector or the marine sector. So I think for students, I think there is a lot of business opportunities as well as work opportunities, right from the farm level to skill based to management level.
I think agri per se will always remain under focus. See, we are living in an age of climate change, and so the focus on agri, on food, you can say self-sufficiency in food, or say for example other aspects related to food will always be in focus in the next few years or something. So agri is a very good opportunity. I understand most of you are not from an agri background, but I would definitely like to say that agri is a place to work at least for the next few years. Thank you.
So even if AI comes, we still have to eat.
Yeah,
So
of
I
course.
guess, yeah,
AI requires food as well.
exactly. So, yeah, Shantanu.
So I would say, since you are the first year, you have a good chance. You can start. If you can draft a project or work around a project you want to. If you want to get into entrepreneur journey, it's a good platform, or you get a good skill set, opportunity to work with the companies. Because sustainability, as he mentioned, climate change sustainability will be the heart. So if you develop anything around the sustainability, products, services, which could cater to the current market need, so there is a lot of opportunity.
I would say never say no to anything. I mean, I am a data scientist. I'm trained as, I did my math stats, computer science, then my MCA, and then jumped into fisheries, and now into seaweed. So knowledge is interchangeable. Never think that you cannot really, I mean, if you are interested in a certain field and you don't have the academic training for it, just go back to first principles. Go back to the basics of learning a thing, and you can always learn things on the go. So I would leave you guys to that. Say never say no to anything. Just if you are opportunities sounds good to you and you're interested, just jump to it.
I think it's just do it. Actually, fits here. That's the slogan. And I think for this generation, there's so many ways of learning. You have like a whole online world opening up, which probably we didn't have, me and Asha at least. But I think all of you have that opportunity to study anything that you want and learn anything that you want. So now I'm going to open up the forum for questions from the students, and please get on your questions. So we still have about 15 minutes before we end. Do you need the mics, or are there some students who can help with questions? So if there are no questions, either we bored you to death or you know everything, or you like us a lot. I don't know which one.
It's directly after lunch.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. I have a question for Devrina ma'am. Ma'am, you have come from data analyst and started up a venture. So my question is, like, what was the problem faced by you before starting the venture, which made you believe that you should start this venture and come to agriculture sector from this IT sector, leave the IT sector and come to this? And my second question stands is, like, you have gone for data analyst. So did that experience help you in growing in this sector, ma'am?
Okay, so if I understand your first question, so I did not start with agri sector when I started as an entrepreneur journey. I started with the application of analyzing satellite data, because that's what I've done a part of my career, and data analytics as a field, it interests me. There are various different applications of satellite data that kind of emerged. So one of the applications that we started with is the disaster management, of understanding where the most amount of disasters happen across India, and out of that the entire fisheries ecosystem came into view as a big challenge that nobody's addressing. So it was not really something that we thought about that we'll be doing, and that's always the case. You study a problem, you realize there are other problems, and then you go to the depth of it and understand the root cause. So it was a journey. Why did I start entrepreneurship? Because I was very bored of my corporate job, long and short of it. Tried to have different kind of adventure. That was the entrepreneurship answer. But yeah, the agri did not really, something that we started on the outset. Second question, how can data analytics improve agriculture?
Ma'am, my question was, how did that experience of yours as a data analyst help you in grow in this sector?
Yeah, so basically what everybody's been talking about, everything as of today is a bunch of the way you analyze data, it gives us the right answers. So you have a problem, you break it down into the various different subsets and analyze what really goes on to each and individual of them, and then if you want to really draw insights, data gives the right answer. For me, how it typically helped, I would say everything else that we have done so far, we start with what all different kind of data can provide you the answers. It can be satellite, it can be IoT, it can be normal just demography studies. At the end of the day, you have a problem. For that problem, what all different questions needs to be asked. For those questions, what all different data points you need. And for the data points, which data source you need. So it's just basically going back to understand what all different, sources of data you need to really answer a problem. And maybe my training of analyzing data, finding patterns, running algorithms somehow helped in there. Not that you need a technical training in data for to be able to do that, but somehow maybe it helped me in a certain way.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Hello sir, my name is Kuldeep Singh Ingre, and sir, I am native to Buldana. I want to ask question, how are you able to encourage farmer for getting raw material, which is millets?
The question is to Shantanu.
How to encourage farmers to grow millets, sir?
Yes sir,
See,
because most of the farmers are now stuck upon those crops like soybean and cotton, and they have left those millet farming. You know that Vidarbha was one of the leading millet producer of our country, but farmers are more focused on cotton and soybean as they are not able to get market. So can the partnership will be done?
You can firstly, for increasing the area, you need a seeds, raw material. So farmers need a training how to grow the millets. So you can connect with the local KVK, Krishi Vigyan Kendra, it's better the Buldana, anywhere. And near the Buldana Vidarbha, there has been pilots made for the millet farming. So you can connect with the fellow peers, farmers over there, those who have already done. Because last year there have been lot of millet activities done on the field by the KVK and a lot of other agriculture departments.
So Shantanu, is there a way in which people can find these success stories?
Yes, so I would suggest you should go, anybody who want to learn about the millet should go search IMR, Indian Institute of Millet Research. Google it. If you Google it, you'll go to a website. On their website, there is a list of all the pharma companies, on the whole mapping has been done. Where you can find which millets. Like millets are different in different states, like Maharashtra, whether it's Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan, or anywhere. So if you go to the IMR website, they have all the data published.
So in Institute of Millet
Research.
is
Ma'am, my second question is to you, Asha ma'am. Ma'am, how is HACCP certification possible for farmers? Because I have only heard it till food processing industries.
Yeah, see, HACCP is mainly looking at the hazards, physical, chemical, biological and allergens. So for anyone, whether he is a farmer or a processor, he has to look at how to control these hazards, whether it's at the farming level or the processing level. So the basic food safety has to grow from the farming. Like say for example, pesticides, residues is one of the biggest deterrents today. You look at even DDT, which has been used for many years back, banned, still you'll find that in some of the grapes. So right at the farm level, it is important for people, farmers to know what kind of pesticides to be used, how much to be used, because these are hazards. Not only, I mean, it doesn't maybe not affect the crops, but ultimately it is coming back to us, where today I think cancer is one of the most prevalent, diseases in India today. We are one of the largest people with largest, biggest numbers of cancer patients globally. And that is not because of what we are eating today, but because of what we have been eating from years together.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So it is good that even if they don't get the certification but follow the HACCP rules. If you look at www.codexalimentarius.org, you will get the entire documents for right from the farm level to the fork level, the kind of guidance document to be adopted.
And just to add to your question, it's not like the farmer needs to be HACCP certified, but when they are working with big multinational companies, like if they are providing millets, say to Nestle demands that the farm level practices are documented, and so it starts filtering down. So it will take some time, but there are companies who now demand that the produce you buy has to be a certain quality in terms of use of pesticides or anything. So it is happening, it's taking time, not necessarily like a HACCP certificate given at a farm level, but best practices are being demanded. It's like they call it good agricultural practices, and those are a set of rules now which big companies ask their farmers to apply. So it's coming out in a different way.
Just add on to it. Indian government has taken out a standard called as India Gap, which is primarily for any farmer to utilize the standard. So you can Google India Gap and you will get the entire document and entire guideline document for that.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mayura Shah. Thank you so much for the opportunity and insight, first of all. I have one question directed to Asha ma'am actually. How can the government better coordinate with private sector stakeholders to develop effective food safety and traceability systems?
Okay, I think government is already doing quite a lot. Say, the Prevention of Food Adulteration Act. I mean, people in my era knew PFA, 1954. That was what we had in our when we were doing our college. The same Prevention of Food Adulteration Act, but of course with lot of inputs from all stakeholders, has become the FSSAI, that is Food Safety and Standard Act, which was ruled out in 2005 and then of course became an act in 2011. So lot of promotions has been done, lot of free programs under the FOSTAC has been arranged for almost anyone and everyone who is in the food industry. It's like free of cost. Of course, for some of them charge, but then many times it's available free of cost. And today the government has made it a rule that one in at least 25 food handlers have to be trained under FOSTAC. So these are some of the government initiatives which government is doing to make awareness of food safety and of course transparency in the system. If you look at transparency, that is what we are ultimately aiming at, to know that from where, say if it's a grape, from which farm it is plucked. Even that kind of transparency gets involved if you look at, if you take up these kind of certifications like organic or global gap or any of the certification, one of the key requirements even for under FSSAI and any of these certification is the traceability requirement, by which you will come to know that from where this either the grape is being plucked or from or harvested. In fact, many of the companies, if you see, if you buy a coffee packet in the retail, you have a QR code by which when you scan the QR code, you will also be able to say when it was harvested, when it was plucked, when it was processed. So slowly government, it is mandatory, but still it's not a completely regulated market, I would say. But
just to add to your question, which is very good, I think the industry is enabling a lot of this. You've heard the people on the panel talk about technology and digitizing everything. The minute you have technology to enable this, things are already falling in place. Like she said, you can now do traceability for a grape. And the same way, when there are norms, along with digitization, that's something that will be easier to apply. There are very good laws on paper, yes, we still struggle with having it implemented at ground, but digital technology is something that is hopefully will enable better implementation and monitoring of it.
Yeah. Maybe I think Alok can throw some light because the FPOs do exactly that.
Yeah, the traceability, when you talk about farmer collectives, it's a very new concept. Very few farmers actually understand about the traceability thing. But it all depends on what kind of value it adds to the final product produce that they sell. See, for each and every intervention that you do, there is a cost, and similarly there should be a commensurate value addition on the price that the farmer gets or the farmer collective gets on the intervention that it does. So it will all depend futuristically on whether this value addition is addressed at the market level. So if the market has consumers who are able to take these interventions along with the cost, then probably it's a more scalable model.
Another question here?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ishu Dhariwal, and it's a great privilege to have such great personalities over here. So thank you for coming. And my question is to Shantanu sir. So as we know, the prices of millets are extremely high. They are sky touching. So what is the mechanism of keeping the price of millets low?
See, as more and more area comes under the millet, prices will come down. So as he mentioned that in Buldana, there used to be millets, but it's been taken over by the cotton and soybean, right? Soybean is given in the Rabi season. Earlier it used to be Jawar belt, right? Now it's been taken over by because farmers are getting options. If not this, if this, they need instant money.
Yes, sir.
That soybean and cotton can give, because earlier there used to be sugar refineries, now you will see a lot of oil refineries. That's the market dynamics. So millet, as more demand, consumer demand will increase, the area under millets will grow, and that's how the prices can come down.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
I'll just add to what Shantanu said. Say for example, we are working with a few FPOs in Assam. So under the mission year of the millet program, some of the FPOs were kind of given this training to grow millets in Assam, right? So they have grown those millets. So what do you do after those millets have been grown in a place like Assam, where people don't have millets as a primary food produce, right? So there is no market, there is nobody who can process it, and the logistics cost from taking a product like that from Assam to say something like a West Bengal is so high that eventually it would make the product pricey, right? So today, if you look at the crops that are under MSP, it's only paddy and wheat which is able to get the price to the farmers. So that's the reason why in in geographies like Buldana, people are moving to cotton or soybean, because you have assured markets for that.
Yes.
For products like millets, it's difficult because the assured market is still to evolve.
Thank you so much, sir.
Hello everyone, my name is Daita Banerjee, and firstly thank you for sharing such valuable insights. So I want to know, what are the global opportunities that India have to export the millets? Thank you.
The millets, if you see in Europe or anywhere, millets are found across the globe, if you see. Names are different. If you go to Ukraine have the millets. Quinoa is one kind of millet found in the South America. 2014 was declared as a quinoa year, if you remember, by UN only. The quinoa came to mainstream after 8 to 10 years. So technically this year, the India have pushed the millets so hardly that if you see, you can see the millets into the Western Tesco-like stores, LD in Germany now. I'm like in the last 3 or 4 months. Before that, millets value-added products you used to find only in the Indian stores. Now, if you go to Dubai, or now the Gulf Foods is being held next week, I guess. You will see that a lot of the Indian companies are exporting. And most of the companies are based out of South India, because South has been pretty dominant and very good in all the millets. So there is a good opportunity for all the millets in the overseas market.
Thank you, sir.
So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Vedant Patil. So my question is to everybody that, so consider the global perspective. What trends or development do you believe plays most important roles on the agriculture sector in the near future?
Can you repeat that question?
Yes. Considering the global perspective, what trends or development do you believe plays most important role on agriculture sector in the near future?
Maybe, what is going to happen is regenerative agriculture, which is going to be the next thing, because it also helps sustainability. It is going to look at the climatic change, the crisis, increasing of oxygen, decreasing of carbon dioxide. That is what is going to be the farmers are looking at regenerative agriculture as the best way to combat climatic change. I think more can be added by.
I think the way the ecosystem is going forward is more of collectivization, so that the costs are kept down and the agri products become more competitive in the international market. Secondly, there is a question of value addition at each and every step. Today, if you look at farmer collectives or farmers, for example, the value addition happening at the farm gate level is very, very low. And that's the reason why farmers are not able to get remunerative prices, and they still have to depend on adatiyas to procure their material and give it to, say, any primary processor. So value addition, if it is able, if it happens, then it will be much more better. And I see futuristically that is the only way to go for the farming community to actually develop in terms of whatever. And you also know that government has had this policy of doubling farmers' income within 2022, right? Where did it go? There is no discussion about that. So we also have to see like what are the opportunities for farmers, and I still feel like I'm reiterating myself, value addition will be the way to go as we go forward.
So as taking from here, what I want to add here, policies being made. Like last year it was the millet year declared. Now this year government wants to push on the oil seeds. If you have heard like couple of weeks ago, government are pushing on oil seeds. So government makes the policy, but it needs to be made much more stringent, so that even if you, as he mentioned, that Assam, the millets being procured there, millets are grown there, but there is no buyer. There need to be certain stringent mechanism should be developed around the policy, so that the farmers get the assured market and the buyers, so that they don't discontinue and switch to other crops, as most of the couple of questions were around those only. So if you see, there's been a good support from the government end for the in terms of policy mechanism, whether it's a millet or any other crops. There will be more area will be coming under the such crops, climate change resilient crops or such oils. It can become India, like we as a manufacturer, I use certain raw material called bakery shortening, and I as well use the butter, I use the olive oil in my cookies, right? So my olive oil is imported from the Italy. Bakery shortening contains 60 to 70% of the palm oil, and if it's the butter, I procure from the locally, right? So India wants to become the oil resilient, or you can say independent in terms of oil. So policies like this will help.
Yeah, so I recently visited COP, and I would say when it comes to agri, more or less over the world we are all in the same state. Asha mentioned resilient agriculture. Climate resilient agriculture is the demand for the day for all farmers across the world. Some countries are a little bit more better than us, but all of us are fighting various adversities of climate. And if you take agriculture as a subject matter, what all goes in there? Seed, water, fertilizer, some kind of insecticide, pesticides. As of today, we have realized chemical fertilizers are very bad for the soil. So everybody is moving to organic fertilizers. Pesticides, insecticides affects our food ecosystem at large from source to table. So how do you revive those systems? When it talks to water subsystem across the world, water is becoming a scarcity. How do you make sure you have you can grow crops, you can feed the world, you can feed the nation the same with a lesser amount of water being used in agriculture fields? Weather. How do you monitor weather? How do you monitor climate to make sure you have the right predictions for the farmers? What crops to grow that will keep on growing and give them certain income? So multiple things that goes into the agri on the food system is very important. Last thing is that the fact that as we the climate is changing our nations, changing our habits. Responsible consumption is also developing. So many people are working on the responsible consumption, switching over to millet, switching over to other kinds of food ecosystems. So, and it's a global phenomenon.
And I guess one more trend to add is because our taste buds are changing, evolving. I mean, you never had millet biscuits maybe 3 years ago. Now you go and look for a millet biscuit. So new products are being developed, and that's going to be a trend, I think, which will help us, like sustainable and what you said about conscious consumption. That will also change the entire food. There will be a realignment of the food system, at least, is what I think. Any other questions?
Hello ma'am, hello sir. My name is Gajanan Mai, and ma'am, I basically come from the rural background, and I see that in India, as our generation grows, there are family land. It is divided into the smaller part. So there are a lot of marginal landholders, and due to the large marginal landholders, the farmers are not getting enough income from their marginal land, and they are shifting towards the job. So there is any modern agriculture or the fintech suggest some option to the marginal landholder, so can they increase their income level and stick to the farming?
I think if you look at data, it says about 140 million smallholder farmers in India, right? And I think the concept of FPO, which the government has come up with, is one of the best ways to address this problem. Because if there is no collectivization, going to each and every farmer to serve a product or a service will not work, because the operational costs are so high that neither the government nor private players will be able to do that. So typically I feel the farmer collective ecosystem, starting from FPOs, now in certain states where the FPO ecosystem is a little more mature, it is moving to a more federated system. That is where you will get scale, and that is where you will be able to take the products and services that are required by the farmers to the last mile. So collectivization is the answer. That's my understanding of the ecosystem as of now.
Okay sir, thank you.
Good afternoon ma'am, good afternoon sir. I am Urvashi Joshi. So my question is for all. Most of the farmers use pesticides and fertilizers for their profitability, but it leads to soil degradation. How can we help to switch farmers towards organic farming and make it affordable? Because organic farming is quite expensive than pesticides and fertilizers.
I think that is a misnomer. That is a misnomer that organic farming is more expensive. Most of the organic farming uses the farming's own products for it to be used back into the farm. Okay, and it takes minimum of 3 years for a farm to get converted into a complete organic farming. So it does take little time, but that's a misnomer that it is more expensive. In fact, it is more resilient, more sustainable, and in the long run, more cheaper option of farming than using pesticides and other inputs.
To your question on organic farming, like Asha explained, it will take 3 years for a farm to change completely to organic, but just a word of warning, it's not like you can completely go organic and say tomorrow I will not use any input fertilizer and feed 1 billion people. So it's not going to happen. So it will need time, and it will be something that will happen over a period of time, and there is more value and money in it, so there will be things coming there, but it's not something that you can totally wish away and feed 1 billion people.
But because of the profitability, most of the farmers use pesticides. Because I have also farmed, and the gobar case, you know about this, it's take long time, like 2 to 3 years. That's why farmers use pesticides for their profitability. So how can we promote them to shift organic farming?
I think you see Amazon or you see Flipkart, you see any of the cereals or pulses is 3 times more for organic than for the conventional way. I think that's one very sure way, and of course teaching the people, the farmers. I think what more is important is teaching the people back that these, our older methods were still good. It's going to take time. The industrial revolution in the 70s and 60s, immediately after independence, a whole lot of pesticides and insecticides were just dumped into our country and without a thought process. And now I find that people are now looking at a more sustainable farming, maybe not completely organic, but certainly a more sustainable farming.
Yes, so just to quickly add, unfortunately, the incentives that are given by the government to farmers are subsidizing chemical fertilizers, subsidizing pesticides. So those inputs are less costly to him than the organic produce that he sees in the market. So it's kind of the entire appeal for a farmer to use the less subsidized inputs to grow a certain quality crop. That will take some time, but I believe, since you are asking this question, many farmers are asking these questions, we are facing issues on the soil grading. So we are on the right trajectory. It's going to take time, but there's always some time that the market takes to really uptake any product. Like he was saying, your entire the millet is took almost like 5-6 years to come to the main market. So it will take some time, but I'm sure we are in a good trajectory as of today.
And just to add to what is being said, and this is where the digital technology helps us. Precision farming, I think in the morning you had a session on precision farming. This is where exactly it helps how much water to add. Instead of even today, rice is also being now cultivated, not necessary with the complete water retention. Today, rice is also being using drip irrigation. So it is just a matter of time. Of course, some of the habits will take a longer time to die, but more and more awareness and more education is the only way and sustainable way. And with this climatic crisis happening, I'm sure we might not have much choice also in the long run.
What you asked is a difficult question. See, I'll tell you what is happening today. Okay, so there are tons of insecticides company, tons of pesticide company with their whole gamut of marketing activities, right? Targeting a farmer. The organic narrative is completely different. It's completely different to the normal scheme of things in the field. So as all the panelists are agreeing here that it will take time, but what is the time period is something which is very difficult to convey, right? So it'll depend a lot on training farmers, them understanding the entire concept, because the marketing machinery of input companies is so strong. You will not be able to break the cycle till you yourself feel that mujhe organic jana hai. It's very difficult.
Hello ma'am, my name is Neha Singh. So my question is to Devolina ma'am. So in terms of seaweed consumption, I guess Korea market is the highest consumption of seaweed. So what is the future in terms of Indian market?
Can you repeat your question? What consumption is highest?
Regarding the seaweed. So what is the challenge in terms of Indian market?
Okay, so the normal, if you talk about seaweed to anybody, the first thing you kind of assign to it is sushi. That's the edible. We don't work on the food applications yet, though certain seaweeds that are naturally available in India goes into food applications. But the application we are currently concentrating in are the agri inputs, organic fertilizers, bioplastics, are other kinds of like a carrageenan. There's a carrageenan that comes out of seaweed. This goes into multiple other food applications apart from being edible. You buy a milkshake that is very thick and gravy that has carrageenan in it. Your toothpaste has carrageenan in it. So multiple different applications there. I'm not too sure where you're asking the Korea, but in Korea, Japan, people have been eating seaweed as a part of their diet, which is not in India, and we don't really work with that market. We don't even need that market. So multiple other applications are in pharma, capsule covers, in various kind of surgical procedures. So those are the kind of markets we are targeting. It's not a new thing. It's currently India imports 92% of the seaweed need. We are typically trying to kind of replace a little bit of that import to start with, from locally available, locally sourced, locally farmed seaweeds.
Thank you.
Hello sir, hello ma'am, very good afternoon. This side Khushbu. Ma'am, my question is then, how does the cultivation of millets contribute to sustainable agriculture practices?
See, if you see the rice current crops, rice, wheat or corn, right? They require the water quantity is 5 to 6 times higher. Let's take an example of a millet, major millets and minor millets. Millets are basically grassy, it can grow on any dry land. Okay? Jawar basically requires 3 times the irrigation and it can grow. Okay? And sir, if you see in the morning session, the sir was saying that 48 or 47 degree was the temperature last year, and it affected the wheat cultivation and wheat yield in Punjab, right? So if you see the climate change, everybody says the climate change is happening, temperature will increase, the glaciers will melt and sea level will rise, all these things, right? So if you consider holistically everything, so as your question, millets, why millets? Millets are the climate change resilient crop. They can grow, the area where I come from, Barshi, the local grain, Jawar grain, there are the areas, it's being watered only twice, still you get a good yield. As she mentioned about the fertilizers, and hardly any fertilizer farmers put, because it grows on a very barren land. They use it for the fodder, but it need to get into in a proper way. Much area need to become under, so that more sustainability thing what you mentioned, it will add value, like a carbon footprint will reduce, holistic ESG parameters. Morning session we had, how it can link to the ESG, carbon credit. This will happen when there is a much more stronger movement towards the millet. Demand is being increased among the consumers. Currently, all the staple, as I mentioned in the morning, is contributed by the wheat, rice and corn. At least until every household, we have at least one product or crop, any validated product made from millets. All the answers, or you can say that the area, prices, it will not, you can say, solve, or it will remain kind of uncertain. Like time will say.
Just adding one point, like whenever we talk about sustainability, especially in agriculture, we typically give the onus to the farmers. Like farmers are not growing sustainable crops, but if you really think about it, the demand is generated by people like me and you who are eating the grains. So it's very important. One of the SDG is responsible consumption, which I keep on talking about in every forum. Until and unless people like us, consumers like us, take responsibility on what we are eating on a daily basis, on our food choices, the farmers won't be incentivized to grow. So when you're talking about sustainability, if the farmer is, adapting sustainable practices, point the finger back to you yourself, saying that are we eating the sustainable crops? Are we encouraging sustainable consumption, sustainable food ecosystems? And then you will have the entire spectrum kind of lining up.
Good afternoon to the panel. So my question is from Shantanu. The government is promoting millets consumption. So how could we in the private sector modernize millets in order to increase its consumption among the youth?
A little louder, can you repeat the question?
The government is promoting millets consumption. So how could we in the private sector modernize millets in order to increase its consumption among the youth?
Among the youth?
Yes, sir.
So see, earlier I used to sell my products when I started manufacturing nearby my plant. I used to sell my products nearby my plant. Now I am selling into Pune. Lot of the company startups, I am supplying to around 20 to 30 startups which are getting products white label or private label from me. So you will see lot of companies, if you go to any store, even the modern stores, Reliance or Dorabji, or you go to small corner show as well. Tata Soulful last couple of months have launched a 5 rupee choco stick made out of ragi millet with no maida. So that's the thing. If you see, products have been available. The ITC even have launched the small product in 5 rupee. So products have been made available. There are the products in the market. Only thing is that it will, as more and more education, people will come to know that maida is different thing, refined wheat is different, coarse millet is different. It's a matter of time that when the people get educated about those things, you will get to see the products into all shelves.
I think I'll just add on to it. The government has made it, has an initiative called as Eat Right Campus. So that is to be adopted by all canteens, corporates, colleges, college canteens, or any, even hotels and 5-star. So today you find that in corporate canteens, they do serve millets for breakfast, for lunch and dinner in the buffet. Even 5-star hotels serve breakfast, lunch and dinner with millet as one of their ingredients. So this is the way government has taken the initiative like Eat Right Campus to encourage millet consumption in their corporates also.
I think we are almost running out of time. We've actually run out of time. So one last question maybe. Just one question. The lady there in the center. Just one last question.
Hello everyone, this is Rushali this side, and my question is to Shantanu sir. Sir, you mentioned that labor cost and the raw material prices is the biggest challenge you face. So how do you overcome this challenge?
So see, now I am facing the labor cost challenge for the harvesting. So we have approached lot of the engineering colleges, companies, develop a harvester, modular harvester for us that can go into the marginal lands, small lands, where the labor cost, because most of the season where the millets have been harvested, at the same time there is a sugarcane cutting goes on. So most of the labors have been diverted there. So we are working or asking to a lot of organizations come with a solution. So there is this opportunity to come with a modular harvester for the millets, that could reduce the labor cost. So we are working with one engineering college to develop that harvester.
So basically technology is what they're looking at to offset it. So I think we end the session here. Thank you so much for all your questions.